You know, there are people who argue that Muhammad never existed, like there used to be people who argued that Jesus never existed, because, you know, we don't have actual documentary evidence for it. We only have the evidence from within the religious tradition. But the people who argue that, I think, are rather willful in overlooking a couple of pieces of evidence, well, not documentary exactly, but there is, for example, a scrap of Syriac text that dates from something like 634, which is only a couple of years after the Prophet died, that talks about, in Syriac, the Tayyaye de Mehmet. It talks about the nomads of someone named, looks like Muhammad, right? So this is like almost immediately after he dies, there is a non-Muslim, shall we say, not from the believers community, a reference to an event involving a raid by these people, and they're associated with the name of a person named Mehmet. So I think we have to accept that, yeah, the Prophet was there.
The manuscript British Library Additional 14461, you don't need to memorize that, is a beautiful 6th century biblical codex. For in the 7th century, this book functioned somewhat analogous to a modern family Bible. That is, just as in the present day, many printed Bibles begin with a few extra pages to include personal information like marriages, baptisms, and the like, so too many ancient biblical manuscripts. Thus, this manuscript originally had a blank page at the front of the Bible. Now, in the year 637 CE, just a couple of years after the death of the Prophet Muhammad, a Syriac writer used this extra space to compose an eyewitness report to the Islamic conquests. The result is the earliest surviving text about Islam. But like most ancient codices, at some point this book lost its cover. And as this picture results, sees the result of this, which is that the surviving note is very poorly preserved. But when I was at the British Library the other summer, the library's Conservancy Department helped me analyze this document using multispectral imaging. And as you can see in the composite image, the results are at least a little bit clearer than simply using natural light. So too, with the help of image processing algorithms originally developed to analyze the spotting patterns of frog skin, I'm not making that up, was able to bring out some additional details. Now, the detailed analysis shows that the surviving text twice refers to Muhammad. It also speaks to Arabs to towns surrendering, to substantial Byzantine casualties. In this way, this family Bible in many ways foreshadows characteristics found throughout the first decades of Syriac writings on Islam. Like the writer of this note, mid-7th century Syriac authors knew about Muhammad.
النص الذي كتب على صفحة إنجيل ليس إلا نصا واحدا ضمن مجموعة المصادر الخارجية التي كتبت قبل عبد الملك، والتي تحدثت عن شخصية نبي العرب محمد. لقد عرضناها في مناسبة سابقة، ولا بأس من التذكير بها هنا سريعا. لقد جاء ذكر نبي ظهر بين العرب في نص تعاليم يعقوب، كتب بعد وفاة محمد بسنوات قليلة، وفي نص لتوما القسيس، وهو أيضا مبكر جدا، وفي حوليات خوزستان التي تم تأليفها نحو عام 40، وفي كتاب تاريخ هرقل من الأربعينات أيضا، ثم في الحوليات المارونية، وفي كتاب يوحنا بن الفنكي، وفي نص ليعقوب الرهاوي ثم إننا نملك درهما سك في خلافة ابن الزبير عام 66 كتب عليه محمد رسول الله على الهامش، وهو بذلك من الآثار التي ذكر فيها محمد كرسول قبل أن يسيطر عبد الملك على الأراضي الإيرانية. إن جميع تلك الآثار والنصوص الخارجية تمنع أي مؤرخ من إنكار وجود محمد. لذلك لا يوجد اليوم مؤرخ بالمعنى الصميم للكلمة ينكر وجوده.